Have you ever wondered where your hard-earned dollars go when you support, say, state lotteries or even public education? It's a question for the ages, really, like trying to figure out how many licks it takes to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop. Every single day, state lotteries generate enough revenue to hand out hundreds of millions of dollars to random winners, which, don't get me wrong, is fantastic for those individuals. But they also claim to pour billions annually into education programs. Yet, year after year, our schools look less like beacons of learning and more like they're one fire alarm away from being condemned. In 2021, and this is a real statistic, folks, 94% of US public school teachers spent their own money, often hundreds of dollars, just to buy basic supplies for their students. That's pencils, paper, the absolute bare minimum. With billions supposedly flowing into our educational systems, why are teachers digging into their own pockets to keep the lights on? Metaphorically speaking, of course, where is all that money going? And crucially, who's holding these institutions accountable? Look, nonprofits face similar scrutiny. It's estimated that nonprofit fraud costs over $77 billion annually worldwide. That's enough money to buy every single person on Earth a value-sized bag of off-brand cheese puffs and still have enough left over for, I don't know, a moderately priced yacht. But at the LOV Project, we're determined to break that cycle. Transparency isn't just a value for us, it's our foundation. We're not asking for your trust, we're earning it every single day. Let me show you how. Let's talk about money, shall we? Specifically, your money. When you donate to the LOV Project, we want you to rest assured that every single dollar, every cent, every glorious penny is accounted for. That's why we've gone completely digital. Think of it like that friend who insists on splitting the dinner bill down to the last nickel, but in this case, it's actually a good thing. Every dollar that flows through the LOV Project is documented digitally. No cash slips through the cracks. Now, the only exception to this digital rule is the cash we collect at our authorized venues. We're talking about those community events where you're swept up in the moment, feeling incredibly generous, and you've only got a $20 bill in your wallet. We get it, we've all been there. But even then, every single dollar collected is meticulously accounted for and recorded digitally the moment it's practically feasible. Think of it as the financial equivalent of those tamper-proof seals on your medication. You know, the ones that scream, hey, nobody's messed with this except for, hopefully, a licensed professional. That's the level of security and accountability we're aiming for here, because frankly, your trust is far too valuable to be left to the whims of a crumpled receipt that's been through the wash one too many times. And look, we're not doing this because we enjoy the meticulous tedium of spreadsheets, although I will admit to finding a well-formatted spreadsheet strangely satisfying. We're doing this because we believe that transparency is the bedrock of any trustworthy organization. We're not just saying it, we're showing it, every single transaction. Now, some organizations might call a yearly financial report, tucked away on page 47 of their website, transparency. Let's be clear, folks, that's not transparency, that's amateur hour. At the LOV Project, we're not just talking about transparency, we're talking about real-time, hold-on-to-your-hats financial transparency. Here's the deal. Every single day, yes, every 24 hours, we're going to release a real-time financial audit on our social think tank platform. Consider it your personalized window into the financial soul of the LOV Project. No more waiting for some dusty annual report to drop. This is financial information delivered fresh daily like a newspaper, but instead of news about the royal corgis, it's all about your hard-earned donations. And what can you expect to find in these daily financial dispatches? Well, you'll see exactly where every cent comes from. Was it a generous donation from a philanthropic rock star like yourself? Was it the proceeds from our annual bake sale where, full disclosure, I may have accidentally overbid on my own brownies? You'll know. And it doesn't stop there. You'll also see precisely how every dollar is spent, down to the last penny. New laptops for the after-school program? Check. Emergency plumbing repair after that unfortunate incident involving a rogue rubber ducky? Double check. And yes, you'll even have access to all the digital receipts and transaction histories. Think of it as a choose-your-own-adventure novel, but instead of navigating a jungle, you're navigating the thrilling world of the LOV Project's finances. Chapter 3. Community-Governed Funds. Now let's talk about who controls the purse strings at the LOV Project. Because let's be honest, too many organizations operate under a veil of secrecy when it comes to financial decisions. They treat their donors like mushrooms, keep them in the dark and feed them, well, But here at the L.O.V Project, we believe in a radical concept: trust. That's why every single volunteer is automatically part of the L.O.V Project Treasury Committee. Yes, you heard that right. Everyone has a seat at the table, or at least a virtual seat, because let's be real, finding a table big enough for all of us would be a logistical nightmare. Now this isn't just some symbolic gesture, folks. This is about real tangible power, because no funds, and I mean absolutely none, will be used without the approval of the voting majority. That means the people who give to the L.O.V Project, the people who dedicate their time and energy to our mission, have a direct and impactful say in how those funds are used. Think of it as a direct democracy. But instead of arguing about tax reform, we're arguing about the best way to empower communities and change lives. And look, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes these Treasury Committee meetings can get a little heated. We're talking passionate people debating the merits of different projects, advocating for the needs of their communities. There may be raised voices, there may be the occasional strongly worded email, but you know what? That's democracy in action. That's what happens when you give people a voice, a platform, and a say in how resources are allocated. Chapter 4. Proof of Fund Utilization. Now, you might be thinking, okay John, I'm on board with the transparency thing, I appreciate the real-time financial updates. But how do I really know that my donation is making a difference? How can I be sure that it's not just disappearing into some bureaucratic black hole? And you'd be right to ask. Because frankly, the phrase bureaucratic black hole is both terrifyingly evocative and sadly, all too common in the world of charitable giving. But fear not, dear viewer, because the L.O.V Project believes in showing, not just telling. That's why every single expenditure, from the seemingly insignificant to the undeniably substantial, comes with digital proof. Think of it as the receipt your extremely organized friend sends you after you split a pizza. You know, the one with the detailed breakdown of who owes what, down to the last slice of pepperoni? Yeah, that's the level of detail we're talking about here. But these aren't just any receipts, folks. These are receipts that you can review for yourself. We'll be posting them on our website, sharing them on our social media platforms, maybe even printing them on t-shirts. The point is, you'll have access to this information because we believe that transparency isn't just about making information available, it's about making it accessible, digestible, and dare I say, even mildly interesting. And these aren't just receipts for accounting purposes, these are receipts that tell a story. A story of impact, of change, of lives being transformed. Because when you see a receipt for, say, a new set of textbooks for an underfunded school, you're not just seeing a financial transaction, you're seeing the potential unlocked in a child's eyes. You're seeing the hope ignited in a community. And that, my friends, is worth more than any fancy gala or celebrity endorsement. Building a legacy of trust. Imagine this. Every time you give your time, your effort, or your resources, you know exactly how it's being used. You don't just hope for change, you see it. Better yet, you shape it. That's the kind of world the L.O.V Project is working to create. A world where transparency isn't a radical concept, but the bare minimum we should expect from organizations entrusted with our goodwill. The L.O.V Project isn't just about delivering resources to those in need. It's about restoring trust. It's about showing that an organization can be truly accountable and driven by the people it serves. It's about proving that change doesn't happen in the shadows. It happens in the daylight, with everyone watching, with everyone involved. So, here's my promise to you. When you stand with the L.O.V Project, you stand with transparency, integrity, and action. Together, we're not just providing resources, we're building a legacy of trust and transformation. A legacy that says, we see you, we hear you, and we're working together to build a better future. Let's make this happen.